Hi everyone, and welcome to the daily scopes for the 10th of September. On the 10th of September, the moon void of course starts at 10:59 am. There's a full moon at 10:59 am as well, and it's a supermoon. So the supermoon, full moon in Aquarius, is a time of illumination. Some of you will focus on finishing things, in contrast others will experience revelations either from the words or actions of others. The full moon can make us act irrational and angry. There can be tension between the conscious and the subconscious mind. A super full moon is when the moon is at its closest point to the earth in its elliptical path, so it appears bigger than it does at other times. According to some astrologers, a supermoon enchants and deepens emotions, and repressed desires and feelings can surface more intensely, getting in the way of you being able to stay focused on the practical and the things you need to do. At the time of this full moon, the sun is in the 24th degree of Leo. The tagline of this Sabian degree is "A yogi with transcendent powers, yet untidy and unkept." So this acts as a reminder that everything in life that is worthwhile requires self-discipline, training and concentration. If you have been given half measures and not paying full attention to your goals, you may receive a stark reminder of this. Sacrifice is often needed to obtain what we really want in life, and we must work steadily towards our goals consistently in order to achieve them. This full moon reminds you, if you're going to reach your highest potential, you will have to learn to understand, heal and manage your psychological, emotional and spiritual wounds, weaknesses and strengths, and make a strategic plan to reach your ambitions, factoring in the many failures you will face along your way. So in meeting our goals, we're always going to meet failures, but what is order and routine to one person is chaos to the next, but you must find your own sort of like order. So going back to the tagline of transcendent yogi who's a bit untidy and unkept, it's reminding us, okay, everything doesn't have to be perfect, there's no such thing as perfect, but we will have to have some sort of order in order to reach our goals, whatever that looks like to you. The moon is in the 24th degree of Aquarius at the time of the full moon. The tagline for this Sabian degree is "A man turning his back on his passions and teaching from his experience." So this supports the fact that some of you may decide to give up your toxic thought, behaviours and habits once and for all, or at least start the work of doing so or continue to do so, seeking out help to heal, training yourself to forgive yourself and others. After all, learning from your past is the only way it can be genuinely worthwhile. You may decide to teach others to overcome the things you have struggled with, especially those younger than you, or start a new course that helps you progress in your career, personal, intellectual, spiritual development. This full moon can be a great time to start that book, that blog, that social media channel, or anything else you have been putting off. Yes, the full moon is usually seen as a time of release. Still, if you have the willpower, you can begin new things, and you may decide to communicate what you have learned during your life to others. And it's scary sharing our ideas with other people and all the rest of it, and to even admit that we have problems, or even to get out of the trap of living in our past. We go over it in our head and our mind. We should have done this, we could have done that, but realistically we cannot change it. The only thing that we can change is our future. So at the time of the full moon, the moon makes a sextile to Uranus and a conjunction to Neptune. So family life may become a bit more hectic, conflicting demands. Logical or spiritual higher consciousness insights may be had by some of you. This can be a time of increased emotional sensitivity, and some of you may prefer, as I said earlier, to spend more time in solitude and self-reflection, just taking stock of what's gone on in your past. You may be going through a heartache, struggling with that, and you just may want to take some time out to do some self-care. Mercury, which is also making a trine to Mars and opposing Jupiter at the time of the full moon, is also conjunct the fixed star Datum, which is part of the fixed star constellation of Coma Berenices that runs from the 17th degree of Virgo to the 12th degree of Libra. The tagline of this fixed star is to sacrifice yourself. So again, a lot of the energy of this new moon is pointing towards that some of you will decide to give up one way of life or some self-destructive habit or maybe relationship in order to progress in your life. Saturn also makes a quincunx to the Sun and a square to Uranus, and is parallel to the fixed star Zuben Eglen-Nubi, which is part of the Southern Scales fixed star constellation, which gives the energy for positive and individual social reform. So changes can happen on the global front or in your community, or you may decide to make some changes in your personal life by giving up your current way of life, as I said, and going for some deeper meaning or living by some deeper meaning, religion, philosophy, spiritual concept, scientific concept, or some other alternative lifestyle. But you must watch out for falling into idealistic notions and ensure your plans are built on solid foundations, or you may waste your energy. Sometimes like, oh, I'm going to do everything, and we get these new ideas and we're all pumped, and sometimes we can be idealistic. Change is hard. It is not easy. You will fail many times, but if you keep on going, pushing on through the pain, you can get there. And sometimes we have to make these changes alone, although we want our friends and family and lovers to do it with us. Life is not perfect, so sometimes you just have to be brave and think, whose life is it anyway? And if you really want the things you desire out of life, you will have to sort of sacrifice. But the planets and the fixed stars are coming together to support and give you that extra nurturing that you may need at this time. Mercury also makes a trine to Mars, and this supports your efforts in determining your priorities and overcoming obstacles, allowing for decisive action, quick judgment, and articulated communication. So again, perfect energy for you to say the things that you've been putting off and to find the right words, maybe to express how you're feeling to the people in your life. But on a negative end, Mercury's trine to Jupiter can block this energy by making people more negligent and lazy in thought, words and actions, making promises they cannot keep and exaggerating facts. The Sun also quincunxes Saturn. There's a lot going on, isn't there? And trines Uranus, and this can cause conflicts with those in authority, and it's best not to take shortcuts, although you may want to with this energy. Success may come, but only with patience and perseverance. So it's essential you don't burn your bridges behind you, just be like, oh, I don't like you, I don't want this job, kind of F you and walk out, unless you are prepared for the consequences of burning your house down, so to speak. But with the Sun making a trine to Uranus, changes for the better can happen, but only if you're prepared to overcome the challenges you will face. This is brought by the Sun's opposition to Neptune and Saturn square to Uranus. These influences give the urge to escape reality by any means possible, so overindulging in food, sex or intoxicating substances can lower performance and peace of mind and clarity of mind. People can lie to get what they want and undermine your attempts to empower yourself. You may be trying to explain to people you want to change, and you may get resistance. This is life, so be prepared for that. Self-deception is also possible, lying to yourself. Like you may find that you do want to give up toxic relationships, a way of life, but you may pretend to yourself that you don't and just wish to stay in your comfort zone, because us humans can prefer those over progression. But Saturn square does positively, if you tap into it, provide the energy to fight against restrictions and breaking down the old to bring in the new, resisting conforming to other people's expectations. But sudden losses and separations can also happen, acts of violence or acts of courage, so there's two sides to the coin. Venus also makes a quincunx to Jupiter and a square to Mars at the time of the full moon, so people may wish to socialise more, and deception in the matters of love can cause hurt feelings. Things can become really intense and highly unpredictable. As I said earlier, passions can run really deep and people can come on too strong. There is also a risk of cheating and heated emotions that can cause harsh words and actions. And if that wasn't enough, on the 10th of September, the moon also enters the constellation of Pisces at 9:53. So when the moon is in Pisces, with this full moon energy, it's just supporting that people can become more introverted over the next few days. You can be more preoccupied with your emotional and psychological life rather than what's going on in the external world. This can cause problems in close relationships or at work. People can become more hypersensitive to what is or what they view as attack of them. So this can get passive aggression or actual aggression reactions, and words that cannot be taken back can be said. People can also miss important details and forget to do things that they promise. The Pisces moon is known to make people more neurotic than usual and more susceptible to psychic and subliminal influences. Unhealed emotions in the subconscious mind can drive unstable thoughts and behaviours. If you are affected, you may want to seek out support. If you're into psychic development and if you can stay grounded, this is a perfect time and energy to start or continue your mystical or higher consciousness development. The best use of the energy of the moon in the constellation of Pisces is to appreciate nature and natural beauty more, working on creative projects, listening to music or watching films or other media that stimulates your artistic side. Do your best to avoid excessive daydreaming and stay realistic in all you do, especially regarding your career and finances. Take some time out to self-soothe and relax and meditate, making strategic plans for your future. For your gardeners out there, when the moon is in the constellation of Pisces, it's a perfect time to plant and transplant, especially leafy crops. Roots can recover more quickly, and planting crops during the Pisces moon promotes immense root growth. So yeah. Also today, Mercury, goes into retrograde. I say the woo because everybody gets so crazy about Mercury retrograde. So yeah, it started on the 9th of September and will last until the 2nd of October. And the post-retrograde shadow ends on the 16th of October, so you may still be affected for that by Mercury retrograde right up until then. If you got Mercury retrograde in your natal chart, it may not affect you. You may be like walking on air during this time. For others of you, there may be delays in transportation, in communication, important news and stuff like that. So yeah, Mercury retrograde is when Mercury appears to be moving backwards, but it's actually moving side to side. And they can be, as I said, delayed in flights, emails can go astray, laptops and other technology can become glitchy and slower, and you can feel like there's sort of like a bad omen over all of your communications. But Mercury retrograde is astrology's way of forcing you to recheck, revisit and review your lifestyle, especially your communication habits. You may find yourself asking yourself questions like, do you really need to say the things you think about? Are your relationships as stable as you think? Are the things that you're not saying that needs to be said? Do you talk too much? Do you skirt around issues, digress? Are you direct enough, or do you gossip? Is this causing problems in your life? If you go on my website, the link's there. There's a whole thing on Mercury retrograde, just in case I forget to post it. But some of the do's of Mercury retrograde is be patient, adaptable and flexible. You may need to step outside of your comfort zone to have the right fix for your problems right now. You can think of the available solutions to your problems you're facing. So do that rather than just focus on the negatives of it and that, oh my gosh, I don't want to change. I want to stay the same. You may have to change in order to get what you really want right now. So if you're used to sending an email at 9, you may have to send it at 7. I don't know. But yeah, I think you get the Just back up your phones and computers so you don't lose crucial data. So typing on a Word document and save every minute or so. Don't become so obsessive, but just back up on an external hard drive if you can, or cloud if you use clouds, and just take every precautions you can to protect important work so you don't lose everything, then you have to start all over again, causing frustration. Be prepared for delays, so just give yourself extra time for travel, meeting people, doing important tasks. Just factor in the fact that if you think something's going to take you 1 day, tell the other person it's going to take you 2 days, so you give yourself enough room for errors and stuff like that. Some of the don'ts are: don't have unrealistic expectations due to mix-ups and misunderstandings. Things may not turn out as well as you plan. To avoid the disappointments, keep your expectations low and always have a backup plan, and don't rush, do not exaggerate. Some of you may become or want to become a lone wolf if it works for you, but try not to just ice people out for the sake of it. You may have to work in teams to further your goals and stuff like that. So yeah, and that's Mercury Retrograde. And although I mentioned it earlier, I just want to talk a bit more about the Mars Sesquiquadrate Pluto that entered on the 8th of September. Strongest today at the 10th of September at 6:40 a.m. Going to last until around 7 a.m. at its tightest conjunction on the 12th of September, but still can affect us up to the 15th, 17th of September, and affect you more if you got strong Mars and Pluto energy, or strong first, 8th house energy in your natal chart as well, and 12th house energy. So yeah, it is a subtle energy. Yeah, it can bring out a powerful drive to dominate others, and people can take drastic measures to bring about change in any way. So as I was saying earlier, this is a perfect full moon to release and go for that change and stuff. But just try and be gentle with others as well. Yes, assert yourself and all the rest of it, but this energy can make people less compassionate, at worst cruel, and there can just be power struggles and excessive behaviour in relationships, and rushed or negligent actions can increase the risk of mistakes and actions. I know some of you may just want to get rid of your past and rush into your future, but make sure you make that plan. As I said earlier, this energy is really powerful, and it can give you a new lease of life, a new feeling of being rejuvenated. That's what Pluto's all about, being regenerated and transforming, turning lead into gold, the crappy experiences of your life into positive new foundations for a better life. It's good because it makes you care less about other people's opinions and can make you intent on doing your own thing and breaking the rules of conformity. As I said, this full moon has a lot of things that signals that's what you can do if that's what you really want to do. Ideas that you've been holding back, you may follow through on them. Taking risks can really pay off, but old relationships can become really strained, so watch out for that. People may not like you, it's certain you will. Some of you may end things, and this can be a good thing. It's a highly impulsive energy, so just make sure you're not just burning those bridges behind you unnecessarily, as I said earlier, unless you really just want to start a new life. Just make sure you're making the right decisions and not just acting out of the sake of it, because this energy can kind of make you do that. You know, you've got Mars, strong, aggressive, and Pluto coming together in an aspect, so people can get worked up and act in a rage and act out of character right now. So just watch out for that. Pick your battles wisely and watch your steps. So yeah, I just wanted to add that on. It's kind of been a long one today, but thanks for listening. You take very good care of yourself, and I will see you very soon. Yeah.